Hello, my name is Chip Chase, and this is a video abstract on the article Metacognition, Motivation, and Self-Efficacy in a Socio-Cognitive Online Environment, published in the Journal of E-Learning and Knowledge Society in January of 2012. In this article, the authors posit that in our 21st century learning culture, the process of knowledge management takes place online and in social media environments. They argue, however, that many students do not perceive of social networks as learning tools. The authors also mention a large disconnect between learning and personal use. There is a new culture of learning as students use social media to support new forms of knowledge consumption and construction. However, there is a gap between the new culture of learning and the learning in higher education institutions. But how much of the 20th century learning culture is hype instead of hope? Are all students digital natives that use widespread use of technology, or have some of these estimations been overblown? The authors argue that higher education institutions should focus on how best to use social media as a learning tool. About the article. The article begins with a brief overview of theoretical backgrounds, including 1. Online environments and the metacognitive approach, and 2. Motivational beliefs and a socio-cognitive approach. Afterwards, the authors discuss the survey methodology. The bulk of this article addresses the empirical research undertaken by the authors. They conducted a survey of 220 engineering students at the University of Pisa who took part in a blended management course on Moodle with additional supports hosted on various online social networks. The goal of the survey was to understand the role played by metacognitive, motivational, and socio-cognitive aspects both on academic achievements and on an effective use of online technologies to enhance university learning. The article ends with the results of the survey as well as a discussion of the meaning of these results. Online environments and the metacognitive approach. Metacognitive knowledge is the highest level of knowledge and refers to the ability and opportunity for learners to understand, control, direct, and manipulate their knowledge and their learning process. The metacognitive approach to information and communications technology is developed at various levels, that of representations, metacognitive knowledge or mental operations to be performed, and control aspects, which are what you do and how to act. Computers are able to capture and represent metacognitive knowledge and abilities in different ways, such as tracking changes and recording times. Technological artifacts make choices visible and can help students visualize their mental process. Teachers should promote or enhance learning behaviors that allow students to achieve their goals in a self-directed way and regulate cognitive and metacognitive behaviors. Motivational beliefs and the socio-cognitive approach. Motivation plays a key role in the learning process, even in a technology-enhanced learning environment. Expectations influence student satisfaction of ICT tools. The authors mention that the perception of one's own self-efficacy in using a tool often mediates one's experience using that tool. The authors cite a study by Pintrick when they identify 3 motivational components present across motivational theories. The first is a belief about one's ability to perform a task, both in terms of the outcome and in terms of one's own sense of efficacy. Second, a belief about the value of the task in terms of goal orientation, which is associated with cognitive and motivational components as well as task value. And third, affective reactions to the task. Now for the research and methods. As mentioned above, the goal of the survey conducted by the authors was to understand the role played by metacognitive, motivational, and socio-cognitive aspects both on academic achievements and on an effective use of online technologies to enhance university learning. The researchers started with the following hypothesis. Study strategies are not predictive of academic success unless they are supported by an adequate attitude to self-regulated learning and to self-monitoring. The aim of this research was to analyze the relationships among self-efficacy, belief, motivation, metacognitive strategies, and learning outcomes. The sample was of 220 engineering students of the University of Pisa that follow a blended management course. The level of user participation among these students was high, since they saw the community as an important element to increase their knowledge. About the survey. While the main goal of the research addressed student perception of efficacy of technology-enhanced learning, the scope of the research was wider, and the research viewed their research within this conceptual framework. The research actually consisted of multiple surveys, which can be viewed below. The first survey focused on learning strategies and metacognitive competencies. It consisted of a questionnaire focused on 5 areas of university study strategies. The first was organization, or the ability to plan and manage one's time to study. The second was elaboration, or the capacity to personally reflect on what has been studied and find additional learning resources. The third was self-evaluation, or the capacity to monitor one's learning and to evaluate one's own knowledge on a subject. The fourth were strategies to prepare for a test. And the fifth was metacognitive sensitivity, which refers to a metaconceptual awareness of knowledge, such as the capacity to reflect on the functioning of one's mind while studying. Another survey focused on motivational variables. To address motivational variables, an additional questionnaire was used that investigated learning expectation with ICT tools, mastery orientation, approach and avoidance of performance goals, and self-efficacy. This survey also specifically asked about students' self-efficacy belief on their ability to use communication tools to collaborate with colleagues, in particular a Ning. The last survey investigated students' use of ICT tools. Students answered a survey specifically designed to link specific activities with technology tools. The results. The results confirmed what the literature had shown, that there was a positive relationship between metacognitive and motivational variables. Students expressed positive and very positive feedback on the use that a social network environment had on their learning. The authors analyzed survey responses amongst different subgroups of technology, such as specialized software and others. The data showed that students used a range of tools for learning, appropriating those tools for their needs. Conclusions. The authors make clear that the study investigated usage and not student preference. Those experiences are influenced by many factors. The authors stress a need to design technology-enhanced learning environments effectively. Tools should not be selected on availability and teacher preference, but in order to meet a specific learning need. The authors also argued that there was a gap between the mandated learning technologies and the way in which students use those technologies outside the classroom. The authors also argue that teachers should rethink their teaching through the lens of technologies used by students and experience with all the tools that are available to their students. Thank you for your time.